I want to talk about the U.S. dollar equivalent thing I'm proposing, and I'm trying to get Elon and other people to understand what I'm trying to say, and I think he'll get it. I've been trying to help them, obviously. But all right, in this country, right, even with, sorry, I'm a little sick, but even in this country, right, with like 50, I mean, with a U.S. dollar equivalent minimum wage, right, there's not really a system, right, to where it updates consistently based on like even within like a day. Let's say if you had a U.S. dollar equivalent system, right, for like value, and that's what the percentage of economics basically in this country is entitled to every American per average, right? If you had a minimum wage like that. Now, minimum salary, minimum wage, based on like a 40-hour work week. And you would just have to do like the numbers and everything, but essentially, um, there's nothing that like if something changes in the market, right? Let's say for healthcare, it changes for a certain type of medicine within the day, and they rack up prices three times the amount for some reason, right? Hypothetically, obviously, right? You would basically have a problem because then anybody who needed that medicine for that day, or like let's say it was an antidote, right, for snake venom, and there's people who got bit that day or something, or something like that. Whatever thing, even if it's how small, how big that they do that with, even if like you were doing it day by day, right, with the calculation for all, you would have to get. What I'm saying is you'd have to have all the information constantly about the money flowing in and around here, basically, and like the percentages of what people have, and like, and just like you have to keep track of all the money printed and all that stuff, and just kind of like say it's based on a certain amount of at least minimum of that money, basically. I think it probably should be based on like percentage, too. So if you print more money, obviously, then it goes up with the amount that you print and everything. In this country, with that, people will sit there and try to like, try to get a certain piece of the pie, via economics, like that they try to take more than just, you know what I mean, like, because if you print more money, then people want more to account for that, because then the dollar is not, it kind of messes with the dollar, in that regard, you know what I mean. But realistically, like, it should go up with percentage. um, um, an equivalent to what the dollar can get you in the country, basically, in that regard. So, with the system, you have, like, if somebody skews it one way, right, for whatever, and let's say some people die that day because you're doing it day by day, right? You would really have to have something where, and this is what I'm trying to propose, like, if we can somehow do this in the future, this would really be like a science fiction almost, type of futuristic country type of technology, to have it constantly updated, where everyone's purchases is constantly updated, right, into a system rapidly, to keep up with all of this as rapidly as possible. Which there'll obviously be people trying to do some fuckery, here and there, but just to kind of like, because you could just, jam signals and stuff, even, or whatever, like, to stop that if you were like that crazy and evil and calculated. But you basically have to keep all the numbers and everything correct to change minimum wage even by the day or by like the second, you know what I mean, like, of calculation, based on the current, you know what I'm saying, based on the current uh, uh, markups and system here. You know what I mean? So, um, it's not going to be perfect, but what I'm saying is that at least it's going to help drastically with the stuff going on. You know what I mean? If you could have something like that. Even with excuse me, even with if you did it day by day, it would be much better than it is now. If you're calculating it based on the workday, so like even tomorrow by tomorrow, the next work day, or like in the middle of the night, it does calculations or something, for whatever came through for that day, kind of thing. Then it alters the minimum wage for the country. You know what I mean? So it has to be it has to be based on U.S. dollar shit. You know what I'm saying? So, but then that also is like somebody can skew it and make their prices so high. You know what I mean? But it would have to be based on, and it would change the money basically going out to everybody if like somebody starts putting like prices of like drastic measures difference, right? But it would have to be also based on like real purchasing power, meaning like if no one's buying it because it's such a high cost and it's not real as far as like real economics. You see what I'm trying to say? Like real business done. So it had to be based on real business done and calculated that way. So and people were like, oh well, that's gonna like somebody could just mess up everything and blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, like that, but that's how they could do it right now. They can mess it up to where they rack it up so high, and yeah, it just stays at like a certain number, but then people die basically. You know what I mean? People will sit there and die, or have something go wrong with their lives, because milk went up $3 for some dumb ass reason, some trendy farming reason, that happened, and it's like problems and shit, but yeah, I mean, they'll say something like, they'll be like, oh well, if somebody raises all this stuff and some people are buying it, then everybody else has to raise it up for their businesses, and it makes like this huge problem, right? Until it doesn't basically, because it's not like they're forcing people to have businesses to have extra money, right, to combat like paying their people. Well, okay, but I don't know, man. Like I just feel like you're not gonna have it okay either way, right? So it's like, well, I'm trying to think, if that's the best way. I think is to, oh, I mean, I just feel like if you if that's the case and people can't pay, then they would have to like let people go, and it would all like kind of crumble for those people, who own businesses. But yeah, I mean, on the flip side though, if you make it like, let's say 50 grand, right, and everyone's just doing willy-nilly shit and raising their prices, then nobody can get, what I'm saying, nobody can get anything anyways, and so like they're not going to get their needs met, anyways, and then they're going to end up dying and all this other shit too. So it's like, who do you want to support, like, essentially, like in those type of scenarios, the business owners and the lesser people, or do you want to support the usual person who doesn't own a business or is like in the lower levels, you know what I mean, and is working for someone? Most people are working for someone here versus who own business, so yeah, like the majority is who I'm trying to go for, you know what I'm saying. And they'll be like, oh well, it's gonna go up so much and whatever, and then so that's what I'm trying to say, is that You know, maybe we should have, you know, provisions to stop that and set prices in this country. You know, that's the thing. Everyone wants to act like we shouldn't set prices for things. Within a calculated reason, you know what I mean? And that doesn't make any sense. You could set it to where it's like it can't go up, let's say 5-10%, you know, because there's really no reason why it should. You know what I mean? It would just be people making willy-nilly shit up with their prices, you know. It really, you should have just set locked in prices, because it can just mess shit up. If you have a a set established price, like, you should give like a time frame for people to fix whatever they want, and we'll try to like come to an agreement on stuff, and then just, yeah, and then it becomes, you know, your established price for your company or whatever, and everyone should have to have that, and, you know, start from there somehow. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way it's ever really gonna work, you know. But stay tuned.